I told you this would happen with the NHL. Come from hockey family. A lot of NHL teams now are reconsidering the Pride nights. After there have been a string of really high profile players who wouldn't take part, and that brings us to Gerald Knows Sports.
Wide open, he scores!
All right, Gerald, you know that I don't like sports.
But you like hockey.
I used to follow hockey a lot.
Right, yeah. You respect hockey.
Yes.
Okay, as opposed to soccer, which you have no...
I respect excellence in anything, including acts of blatant homosexuality. So if you're going to be a homosexual athlete,
Yes.
an overpaid homosexual athlete, be the best overly paid homosexual athlete in the world, and that's soccer. So.
Speaking of homosexual athletes, the Pride thing has been a kind of a fixture in the NFL since 2018. I'm sorry, NHL. See, there I go, going to my sport
Oh,
that
boy.
I like. Sorry. Yeah. NHL since 2018. You don't have to admonish me for that.
It's a slow news day, guys.
So teams often wear jerseys, with like the numbers that are kind of rainbowed out, or the tape on the what is it, the hockey stick, you guys call it?
Oh my God.
It's got
Jeez,
tape
I look like a
around it.
dildo.
That looks terrible.
Could you imagine Steve Eiserman dressed like he's a Skittles commercial?
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen, right? So, but this year, a good thing. This is a win for conservatives, right? And this is also a roadmap for people in the NBA and the NFL and other sports and soccer that don't want to necessarily associate with this. They are actually opting out of doing this, right? And it's specific players doing it, right? So Flyers defenseman Ivan Provorov said he did not participate because of his...
And to be clear, just spoiler alert, this has affected those at the top of the league.
Oh,
this
for sure.
shows you that boycotts and shows you that standing your ground, that's the only way to bridge the gap of the disconnect between the woke corporate overlords and then the fans and the players. So when people say it doesn't do anything, well, it's not true. The NHL is proof positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And so he said, I'm not doing this because of my faith. Yeah.
You can cue clips there, Toolman.
I respect everybody, and I respect everybody's choices. My choice is to stay true to myself and my religion. That's all I'm going to say.
How do your religious beliefs?
Like I said, that's all I'm going to comment on that. If you have any hockey questions, I would answer those.
It's fair.
So,
What is your religion? What is your religion?
Russian Orthodox.
Boom.
I had to turn it up 1 degree because I could see the Hodge twins shivering.
Oh, they were shaking over there?
Yeah.
So, look, as a result of those comments and his stance, his jersey then proceeded to sell out.
Right. The one not...
the regular jersey.
The one not dressed up like a starburst.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Sharks goalie James Reimer actually cited his religious beliefs for not participating in the Sharks Pride Night as well. Here he is.
I've been a Christian, not just in title, but in how I choose to live my life daily. I have a personal faith in Jesus Christ, who died on the cross for my sins, and in response, asked me to love everyone and follow him. I have no hate in my heart for anyone. I've always strived to treat everyone with respect and kindness.
See how nice that was?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have to come out like forcefully against this. He just said, hey, here's why I'm not doing this, and I have love for these people. I don't have hate for anybody out here. I'm just not going to do this because of my faith, right? And so there are a number of other players and teams now are actually considering scaling back or actually starting to scale this back and say, this really isn't for us. But The Atlantic actually had an article that said that Russian players are opposing this due to their fears for their safety in, good old Russia.
By the way, there could be a little column A, column B.
It could.
I don't know how many trans children activists there are in Russia, but if they did exist, they still wouldn't be able to speak out anyway.
I'm pretty sure they don't exist.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too.
I mean, it'd be the exception of
Considering
the rule.
that they stab pedophiles 36 times in the back and then listed as a suicide.
And the judge is like, good enough for me.
Good enough for me. Yes. It is well known symptom of pedophilia. Stab yourself in back 36 times before digging your own shallow grave. I don't understand it, but you do you.
Right. So all these comments seem pretty reasonable to me. These are players coming out and just saying, hey, this is against my faith, but here's the problem. This is all based on Christianity, or maybe they're afraid, like we said, the Russian thing. But some commentators are actually saying that those players, if they want, they can go back to the place that they came from, essentially.
What?
Provorov can get on a plane any day he wants and go back to a place where he feels more comfortable, take less money, and get on with his life that way, if it's that problematic for him.
Woo.
Why would he have to do that?
Yeah, because here's the thing: it's not when we talk about people coming here who, by the way, are not seeking asylum. They want all the benefits of this country. And you say, well, you know what? If you don't like the culture, you don't like the customs of this country, then maybe you should go back to the country you were trying to escape. In this case, he's saying this guy should go. He has the support. He has the mandate of the masses, of the fans. It is being thrust upon him by elitists at the top of the league. Who, by the way, if you think that the NHL, if you think that hockey, if you're running this, right, if you're a commissioner and you think that the LGBTQAAIP jerseys are going to be an easy sell to a bunch of Eastern Europeans, many of whom still think wearing helmets are gay, you're out of touch.
Yeah, you're out of touch, and it's unnecessary. Why do you need to have rainbow-colored numbers? And like, are gays not visible right now? Do we really need to highlight homosexuality right now to make sure that there's visibility and that they feel seen and that there's inclusion? Are you kidding me?
Trans visibility. Like, what do you think? You're wearing the cloak from Harry Potter? We can all tell.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, look, make sure you download the Rumble app. That's the only way to make sure that we absolutely 100%. Actually, notifications work.
Yeah, notifications work on the Rumble app.
That's a great way to do it. So make sure you go to the App Store right now.
I'd be very surprised if this show stays on YouTube.
I doubt it will. But look, the NHL commissioner, kind of in response to this, Gary Bettman, he spoke about potentially ending Pride Night. So this is the silver lining. You guys push back a little bit, you make a little bit of noise in a nice, winsome, fun way, and all of a sudden, here's his quote. This is one issue where players, for a variety of reasons, may not feel comfortable wearing the uniform as a form of endorsement. Well, of course they don't.
Right.
You're forcing something on them, right? Now, how about this? I got an idea for you. If you want to see what people think of this, why don't we come up with a Christian theme tonight where all the uniforms have crosses on them? And then if somebody is Muslim and they say, hey, I don't want to wear this, you tell them to go back to where they came from so that they can play hockey. They don't play hockey in Saudi Arabia. That's probably not happening.
Maybe somewhere in like Abu Dhabi and the ski hill, they have like a skating rink below there.
That's the same kind of thing. Like in sports, we don't need this.
Yeah.
What we need right now, especially, is a separation, something that we can go into and just disconnect from all the crap that's going on. Please don't infect it like the NBA and the NFL. The NFL tried to do this as well. They tried to do a ton of stuff with Black Lives Matter, and it absolutely backfired. Not saying the national anthem, absolutely backfired.
Right.
Everybody started pulling away. No kidding.
It didn't backfire enough, though. You have too many Americans. No, now the ratings kind of creep back up, and there are too many Americans. You see this in Michigan,
by
the way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they ended a lot of that stuff, and so people came back.
They kind of did, but the problem is it's still the same. It's still the same heads of the companies, and so they have so many people. Like right now in Michigan, your gun rights are being eroded, and Michigan has a very, very strong outdoors culture. But then you get a lot of these thuds who are like, "Well, it won't affect my hunting rifle, won't affect my shotgun." Right? They don't, because I gotta go have my beer and watch my sports ball. And then they go home, they watch it, and then all of a sudden it affects them. And why didn't anyone tell me the commies were coming? Well, look, here it is. You want to keep supporting these organizations who, by the way, they're no longer looking out. Here's what's happened, too. This is the problem with and I'm a free enterpriser. Do not get me wrong. But the greed combined with international markets. Now they are no longer... they have no longer an investment, I guess, in serving the American public, but it's all about trying to reach international markets, like with basketball, right? They've been more effective in making some inroads in China. So now you have an organization, right, that was thrust into the public eye by the United States, by our ingenuity, by our ability to, procure the best athletes, create an elite talent pool, and then they go, okay, but you know what? We're making billions, but we want to make more billions. Okay, China. So now let's compromise. It's the same thing with film.
Oh, it's terrible in film. That's the case study on this, because they've been doing this for a long time, and now you get a movie like Top Gun Maverick that comes out, and all of a sudden it's making news because it's patriotic to some degree.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, oh, wow, that's a refreshing thing, and it does incredibly well at the box office.
I don't know how it did in China, but I would imagine that, the Chinese population, they like seeing a movie star, with a height that they can claim as their own.
How tall is he? Like 5'6"?
He's a short fella.
That would be generous.
Yeah. I don't know. Apparently, L. Ron Hubbard did not smile upon your height, Tom Cruise. Better get those thetan levels checked. No, I think you're right. This is a win to a degree, but you got to stay on it, because do you ever wonder, like when Amazon has a commercial with a broad with a mustache, or when you see Hershey's having a transgender, you go, hold on a second. This is not something that people have been demanding. There is a disconnect. There are more of you than them. That's why they get rid of the dislike button. That's why they remove content that they don't agree with. That's why Rumble is so heartening to all of us, because you can actually see the numbers, you can see the interactions when things aren't throttled. They want you to feel isolated. and they have the biggest microphone, right? That's like we just talked about with Bowman. They have a microphone. They scream the loudest. But the fact is, most Americans do not want the sexualization of children. Even most gay Americans are not demanding that they have a chick with a wiener and a mustache be the mascot for Hershey's. But there's a disconnect because of these, the green, the credit scores, the social credit scoring, the ESG. I forget the acronym. I think it's ESG. When you look at what's happening with these corporations, it's the boards. Just like comedy right now is not written for you. That's why it's often so bad. It's written for the writer's room. It's written for the Ivy Leaguers who've never actually taken the stage. That's why you feel as though there's a disconnect between you and the sports leagues, between you and the entertainment media industrial complex, and it's by design. But there's an opportunity with that because they are overreaching. And just one thing, do not allow yourself to feel isolated. There are more of you than them. If one side cannot have transparency, and one side, your side, our side, demands it, that tells you that they don't want to engage in a battlefield of ideas predicated on truth. More of you than them, and the NHL is proof positive. It just means that you have to exercise your power and your authority. Anything else? Am I missing?
No, you nailed it. We just need more people to stand up like this. More people to stand up, and maybe this is a YouTube dump button, but the NFL people stood up against the vaccine, and it cost them because they were mandating for these healthy athletes who were doing fantastically well at dealing with any of this stuff, and it maybe even had COVID before and had antibodies before, and it didn't matter. But there was this theater going on to make sure that they kind of towed the line for everybody else. You have to stand up for this, and yes, it's going to cost you something. These guys in the NHL could have been fined. They could have cost them games. They could have been not able to, perform. They could have lost their contract potentially if it violated the rules of the contract. It's going to cost you something. Do it. It's what we need. We need people to stand up and not just keep going along with this crap.
Right. This has been Gerald Knows Sports.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.